evening. Sorry being a few minutes late. I'm just going to make a few remarks and pass it on to our superintendent. First of all, welcome back to our faculty and our students. A special welcome to our new faculty and new families who are joining us. I guarantee you've made the right decision to work here or to go to school here. Very excited for the school year. Secondly, I hope everybody is enjoying how beautiful our school looks now. Now, I've been here 12, 13 years. I'd have to ask Eddie, who went to school here many moons ago, whether he's ever seen it look so good.
No.
Okay. No, I mean, it's, great job from the administration, from the facilities committee, and clearly a big thank you to the PTA for a very generous part of the cost. But every time I drive by here or walk by here, I just say, it looks lovely. I hope you're enjoying it. Third thing I just want to say is just on the new cell phone policy. Now, we've had one before, but we introduced a more robust policy. I'll let Rachel expound on that. And we really, I think we're ahead of the curve on a lot of other public schools in the region. And we're hearing a lot from the governor also about some new rules that might come to us. But right now, I think we have a faculty that is committed. I think parents are committed. And frankly, having, one student just graduates from the July 9th meeting. Please,
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion accepted. Dr. Kelly, please.
Thank you so much. Welcome back to the Board of Education. We do appreciate all the time that you spend volunteering on our behalf. And welcome back to all of our parents, our students, faculty, staff. It's been quite a lovely week here at school. There's nothing like the bustling of children in the hallways and the classrooms. And we were so pleased to see so many smiles and so much laughter from not only the children, but also the employees. Summer was busy with making sure our facilities were ready, and we hosted our special class instruction. We can't thank Mike Lee, our Director of Facilities, and his crew enough, as well as the teachers who spent 6 weeks here this summer with our special needs children, as well as all of the teachers that spent time over the summer strengthening their professional development. And that included work with civil discourse units, as well as learning our new K-8 math curriculum, Eureka Squared. We held our 2-day new teacher orientation. That was for new teachers, new teacher residents, student teachers, and psychology interns and externs. Our teacher mentors and curriculum leaders joined for a portion of these days to work closely with our new teachers to help ensure everyone was ready to hit the ground running on September 3rd, and indeed they were. We're so pleased to welcome new members of our leadership team, Derek DiRienzo, elementary school assistant principal, and Dr. Ray Laverso, our high school principal. Ray and Anthony are actually at the high school activities fair right now, or else they would be here, and they will join us afterward. A shout out to the PTA because they are sponsoring a coffee tomorrow morning, so parents can meet Dr. Laverso. That'll be right here in the auditorium lobby at 8:45, and we hope you can stop by and welcome him, as well as Anthony Vadlika, who's beginning as our 612 assistant principal after serving so amply as our elementary school assistant principal. We are also grateful to our PTA for donating the monies for the new landscaping out on our front property, as you have already thanked them, Michael. And due to the board's wisdom in approving an emergency resolution so that we could renovate our sidewalk, and we've addressed a significant safety issue, so thank you. And to the village, under the leadership of Mayor Marvin, we're grateful for their strong partnership and helping to cover the cost of the landscaping between Pondfield Road and the sidewalk. So again, we are deeply grateful for their support and partnership. Michael also alluded to the new cell phone policies. They are in place. In the elementary school, the most significant change is that no device with access to the internet is allowed. All devices, so that would be gizmos or flip phones that parents choose to send their children to school with, must stay in their lockers. The children, if a device is seen, they will be prompted to put that back in their locker, and if it is seen a second time, that's when Rakia and Derek will get involved. In the middle school, we are piloting the new policy where the cell phones will be locked in cabinets. And I do use future tense for that because those cabinets just arrived. But they are being placed, mounted on the walls outside of the homerooms as we speak. Joe and Anthony have already conducted or in the middle of conducting grade level assemblies to make the new rules clear. We're very excited at children having an opportunity to converse with one another more. And we have also introduced in the middle school more open gym time. So our adolescents have that time to play. In the high school, no significant changes to the cell phone policy, except we did more consistently start the school year with all the teachers speaking to it and what the rules are, and that basically they don't want to see them in the classroom unless they do need them for whatever unit is being taught. So we look forward to the parents' continued cooperation with that. And I ask you, as I did in my letter in the spring when we first rolled this out, to please not text your children during the school day, and help us make sure that those phones are away and that they are interacting with their peers and adults. I now want to just take a minute and speak to the tragic school shooting in Georgia yesterday. I would like to begin by having a moment of silence for the 2 students and the 2 teachers who were killed, as well as for those injured and all of their families. Please take a moment. Thank you. Tragedies like these remind us of our shared responsibility to ensure the safety of all of our students and employees. I want to reassure you that our highest priority is to do everything possible in terms of physical infrastructure, security, and training for the employee. I would like to now move to the portion of our meeting of the Bronxville Promise in Action. And this evening we will be hearing from a high school student, Marcus Jun, who will be speaking about a project that epitomizes innovation and engaged citizenship. Anne, who has been our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction for a little over 2 months. Would you please introduce Marcus? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly, and good evening. Each year we look for opportunities at Board of Education meetings to share the work of our students in order to showcase how the Bronxville Promise comes alive in our classrooms and in our school. This evening, I have the pleasure of introducing a high school senior, Marcus Jun, who has developed an innovative idea, a STEAM kit, science, technology, engineering, art, and math, that exposes students to science concepts through hands-on learning experiences. He is going to outline how he developed these ideas and how he is connected to community organizations in a very short period of time to provide underserved students with these kits. So I'm going to have Marcus come up and share. And if you could pull up the presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer, for that wonderful introduction. But a brief intro about me is I'm Marcus Jun. And really, I'm here to talk about my fiscally sponsored 501c3 nonprofit. And I really want to give credit to the Bronxville community. The resources here provided by the foundation, the teachers, and obviously the people that are involved. This organization would not have evolved more than a mere concept. A brief intro about what we do is we create STEM kits focused around very unique scientific ideas, and there we can pair it with a brief introduction to a concept that would be applicable for that certain age group. For example, for our middle school guided kits, we focus on a very unique idea of permaculture, right? Most of you have never heard of it before, but it's a very cool regenerative ecosystem idea. But we're also able to bring that into an introduction to what labs are and the scientific method. So it's very cool. So this is our first concept of our kit. You know, not the most aesthetically pleasing, but a lot of work ethic went into it. A lot of conceptualization, a lot of ideology, and we had the idea that we wanted to do something around permaculture. This is where I had a concept around November of last year, and I really started consulting with Bronxville teachers, notably Miss Kim, who's a high school teacher here. I've had her for almost every year in high school. She's been a great mentor to me. And also, I also brought up the idea to Mr. Tachi. Most of you don't know, but I came to Bronxville in 9th grade, so I never actually got to experience him as a middle school teacher, but he was wonderful enough to even take me in based off of just an email and help me consult with this idea as well. Now, going on, this is me presenting at me and my great friend and teammate, Mason Lowe, presenting at the Foundation's Project Let a Seed Fund You grant. A lot of work went into this, so basically I want to take you guys through a little bit beforehand about everything that went into this. So I'd actually presented the idea to the foundation. Ms. Meyer had sent out an email basically talking about how the foundation offers grants every year, right, for students. So we thought maybe this would align. It wouldn't hurt to just present there. And through that, we actually told our idea to the entire BSF board and Ms. Meyer herself, and they redirected us towards something called the Lucy Grant. This is where I was introduced to Mr. Howling for the very first time in my life, and as an entrepreneurship teacher, he worked with me almost 3 times a week in early mornings, trying to really work through about how to elevate our entrepreneurial idea. How do we reach different places, and how do we provide a very cohesive grant? We were also able to meet with Ms. Meyer. She's been wonderful with her help as principal last year. She really did a lot for us. And I also want to bring up a student called Simos. He's ex-Bronxville student, now a freshman at Columbia, but he had his own nonprofit idea as well. With his Granted USA idea, we had a very similar ideology of how we wanted to impact underserved communities, but it was a little bit different, and he would give free college tours, and we wanted to provide free STEM materials. Keep in mind, this was like, I want to say around April of last year, so he was a senior. He didn't really need to do any of this for me, but he had taken me in under his wing. He provided me with a 6-page comprehensive guide on everything he's learned as being a nonprofit founder, some of the mistakes he made along the way, and also he did so much for me. It was just such a brief meeting that we had too, but in exchanging numbers, he worked with me even into the summer as well. And following our meeting, this was actually the next level of our kit, not the last, but this was another great idea. We had a fundamental concept we wanted to implement, and it was accessible and cheap enough for us to want to start crowdsourcing. We worked closely with Ms. Meyer to find ways to crowdsource. Specifically, she had us published in journals here, and also even gave me the opportunity to present in the elementary and middle school council meetings, which is awesome. I was really able to connect with Bronxville parents, and more than that, I was even able to raise enough money for these organizations that we had reached out to with this concept. But not just that, I met a really important Bronxville parent, Ms. Beth Larkin, who's been super integral to our success. She's a co-chair at the Youth Community Fund, but more than that, she's almost bi-weekly. She's been calling to check on with how our progress, and she's been introducing me to various community members, specifically within the Westchester realm. and I'm super grateful for that as well. So here's our final product. This is our actual permaculture kit. I have it with me right now. But aesthetically, we made a lot of progress, which I'm really grateful for. That was something Mr. Howling really nailed into me. But we were able to create 3 separate permaculture kits among the same idea. One of them is called Symbiotic Sprouts, Hydro Harvest, and Acidic Analysis. Each of them vary for the age groups that they're trying to target, but ultimately they're trying to convey the same principle of what permaculture is, but also pairing it with a concept that they would need to learn later in school. So for our younger K through 3 kit, we just want to introduce them to getting that hands-on experience in planting, but also learning how to grow and understanding variety in their environment, versus for our, I said this before, but for our middle school kid, it's more just targeted to having them understand what the scientific method is and understanding how high school level labs function, and we even provide them with that sort of guidance as well. And we've even had the opportunity to work with actual permaculture experts. I had the pleasure of going down to Detroit this summer, thankful to my parents, and I was really able to connect with these 2 permaculture experts, Charlie Brennan and Bridget O'Brien. These 2 individuals have their own farm that's fully permaculture fundamentals involved in every aspect of it, and we were able to create an instructional video for where the students are guided by actual permaculture experts. And they're also, we also found a way to basically go from the instructional video to then them actually speaking on the farm and showing how these concepts are utilized in this real world setting. So what is our impact? So far, we've been able to impact over 3,500 students and donate over $20,000 worth of our STEM kits to underserved students. We've been able to reach almost every borough in New York City, and we've also been able to go national, right, quote unquote, going down all the way to Southeast Detroit. But we reached places like Flushing, Co-op City, who I really grew close to the specific church that's ran over there as well. And also I was able to reach certain parts of Brooklyn where I personally grew up in Borough Park, and also the middle school that I went to in Coney Island. But also we've been able to reach some sort of Westchester area, and White Plains, we're really trying to expand that. And also as far as Rochester upstate, and even, as I said, Southeast Detroit. And it's been really awesome to have this level of impact right now. So if you, right there's a picture of me with some of my friends at Co-op City. It's my friend Joseph and Daquan. I was actually personally implementing the kits and teaching them to the 20 students that work at a church within the public housing there. And it's really awesome to see our kits being used firsthand. Here I want to just talk about some of my background. I say I'm from Brooklyn. I grew up in a nicer part of Brooklyn, we'll say, but just walking to these various public schools that I was raised in, the wealth inequities were apparent, right? Walking through public housing and the various backgrounds and diverse faces. So I really wanted to bring something back home, right? And you can see that with the amount of places we've been able to reach in New York City, which is amazing. And really, I'm super thankful for the Bronxville community. Miss Meyer, really just, it's been amazing. She's put in way more effort than I could have asked. So I want to thank my friend Mason, who's been doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work. And I know that Dr. Laverso and Mr. Vaglica will have plenty of entrepreneurs even more successful than myself, given the resource that they have with Mr. Howling and just the wonderful community. But yeah, that's all. Thanks for listening.
Mr. Tachi, for instance, who you never had, and to other teachers in the community, and then it amazes me. I mean, this is what Bronxville is all about. I mean, it is about supporting each other, and I think that's really important, and it's a really great message to get out there. But I know this accomplishment is yours, but I did note how often you said that you reached out to people and they helped build that foundation that you need to be a success. Congratulations. Excellent.
Well done.
Well done. Dr. Kelly, you want to go on to personnel? Oh, you can leave now. Sorry. You're excused. job, Mom and Dad.
So the board has the personnel agenda before them. We had an opportunity in executive session to speak. This meeting is typically at the end of August, so it's a meaty, substantive agenda. You have some more summer hires on here, as well as leaves and leave replacements, some resignations of teacher aides, and then appointment of our new teacher aides. We're happy to report we have every faculty and staff member in place we need. And then this is the agenda where I ask you to approve all the substitute lists, teacher aides, nurses, clerical, maintenance, and teacher. Also before you are a few additional resolutions. As much as we adored and miss Linda Nordone, Dan Carlin's business office secretary, we are so pleased that Kathleen Matthews has stepped up, which we've known not only as a community member, but she had served so amply in the middle school office, and we have a new middle school office assistant. A few more resolutions regarding new coaches, and therefore a revised fall coaches roster. So I ask you to consider this evening items A through double K.
Any questions on personnel? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve personnel action items A through K?
Motion.
Second?
Second is Eddie.
Eddie, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Dan, I think we're moving to you now, right?
Yep.
Okay.
No financial report this month, as is every first meeting in September or late August. We are working on the audit, the independent audit, and have not yet had the opportunity to close July and August. Let's see. Preliminary audit results are showing us with a decent surplus, so that we'll be able to meet our fund balance allocation to offset the tax levy of $500,000, and then also be able to put something into our construction reserve in the anticipation of the next project. And we should have the July and August summaries ready for the next meeting.
In 2 weeks?
Yep.
Okay.
And then we have some financial action items. Item A is our intention to piggyback onto the Hastings contract like we did last year with Academy Bus. They've been the most successful contractor at getting us buses. They do the best they can, and they're reliable. However, in the past few years, if the past few years are any indication, they will not be able to serve all of our needs. Hence the need for this emergency resolution, which authorizes us to contract with Ducky Bus, who's also been very good with us, and Royal Coach if we need to. So we need that emergency resolution. And then contract with Dr. Militana for sports physicals for male athletes. We've been working with him for at least the last 16 years since I've been here, and probably even before that. And then there's a special education contract with cognitive behavior consultants for dialectical behavior therapy.
So that's A through C.
Yep.
Got a motion to approve financial action items A through C?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
You're welcome. On to facilities, Dan?
As Dr. Kelly mentioned earlier, Mike Lee and his crew were very busy over the summer. I asked Mike for a few of the things that they were doing over the summer, and he gave me about 20 of them. They did flooring in the middle school guidance and PPS area, as well as the crossover room number 301 and D401, and D407. They all got new flooring. Again, we have the new sidewalk on Pondfield. We completed the outdoor classroom landscaping and began the foundation grant, the community garden. That's rounding into shape over there a little bit. We also had some classroom splits to make more area. We put up walls in larger classrooms to either make new classrooms or office space in 2 classrooms, and then we threw him a curveball the week before school started and told him we needed a new 2nd grade classroom. So he was able to get that ready. He replaced the sanitary line and the crossover on the 3rd floor, along with painting, waxing, deep cleaning, and routine stuff that A&A helps us with every summer. Then outside, we replaced submersible pumps that constantly run in the wet well to keep the water level down. These are not the huge pumps that run off the diesel when we have rain events. These are just constantly running electric pumps, as well as cleaning roof and gutter drains. We had 3 rain events triggering the pumps and requiring staffing. All were successful, and we had one really big rain event in early August. And we demonstrated the guillotine valve and sump pump diversion solution with that heavy rain event, where we would have had a backup. But once we figured out to reroute the sump pump onto Pondfield, we seem to be in good shape there. We have new building access control and lockdown integration, which is, we've been drilling. Well, we had demonstrations over the summer. We haven't drilled that yet, but it's coming. We replaced the coil in the auditorium chiller. We created a new book room for elementary school and middle school math curriculum with custom-built shelving. And then this was a year on our multi-year cycle of just taking out all the kitchen appliances and doing a deep clean down there. And we got the school ready for our fire inspection. So, I don't know how he did it, but he did it.
Okay. All right.
And I think the facilities committee is ready to get back to work in late September, early August to get the kind of reconcile the 5-year building condition survey with what we need to do for our next capital project, so that we can hand that off to the finance committee to figure out how to pay for it. And Connie, I believe there's an action item in that the board has received our fire drill procedures, and by statute, annual approval is required.
Right. So we need a motion to accept the fire drill procedures.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Dan, I think it's still you with
Yep, we have a
transport.
couple of other action items.
Yep.
We're actually doing 2 things with busing. The first thing we did was piggyback on the Hastings contract. The second thing we're doing, I talked about it a little earlier, this is the emergency resolution that allows us to contract with other contractors when Academy Bus cannot meet our needs. And then we have approval for an overnight trip for girls soccer team this weekend to the Capital Region. Board approval is required so we can get our ducks in a row for insurance coverage in case anything, knock on wood, happens. Make sure everybody's covered up there.
Okay. We take them together, Connie?
Do you want the emergency resolution separate?
Doesn't.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the emergency resolution transportation and the school trip.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. On to health and safety.
Yes, so annually we are required to approve the membership of the district-wide health and safety committee. So you have before you the membership. It's an interdisciplinary team, if you will. There are administrators, there are representatives from teachers, clerical, facilities, as well as our nurses, law enforcement, a board member, and parents from each of the 3 schools.
And having served in that committee last year, I have to say, it's a substantial committee. I mean, it is really engaged in making sure that this building and our whole campus is safe for everybody. I mean, it's really impressive. Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the district-wide health and safety committee?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next up, this is the meeting each year where the board is required to approve all of our special education services to make sure that every child who has either an individualized education plan or 504 plan is set to receive the services they're eligible to receive. So I have asked Christine Dowd, our Director of Pupil Personnel Services, to just speak briefly with us this evening about these recommendations. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Good evening. It's really great to see you all. I hope you had a nice summer. So before you this evening, I have recommendations for you to consider. As Rachel mentioned, annually we put before the board all of our special education, Section 504, preschool special education, as well as our district of location recommendations. And it's the responsibility of the board to approve those services so that we can provide the support and services for our students with disabilities. Therefore, you have before you a comprehensive list of individuals by student ID number and the recommendations made by the committee, which of course includes parent input. As you know, special education is highly regulated, both federal and state legislation, and we take this responsibility very seriously. And you see before you the range of student services that we provide for our students here in Bronxville. And I think it's important to provide a sense of what leads up to these recommendations. It is quite a process. I like to review it each year. So in any public school, if an educator or a parent suspects that a child may have a disability, they can refer their child for a full evaluation. And these evaluations are multidisciplinary, conducted by our school psychologist, special education teachers, perhaps a speech and language pathologist or an occupational therapist, or a physical therapist, depending on the areas of concern. And we conduct a standard battery of assessments to help determine if a student does in fact have a disability. Once testing is completed, the results are shared with parents, and then the final step is the referral process, in which is to bring everyone together at a committee on special education meeting, otherwise known as a CSE meeting. The committee consists of parents as well as several team members. Important to include all the professionals that of course evaluated the student so they can report the findings, as well as the child's classroom teacher at the elementary level, a general education teacher at the middle and high school level, as well as the grade level special education teacher. And then also we may invite other educators that participated in the evaluation process, for example, a speech and language therapist or an occupational therapist, and any other educators who may work with the student in any capacity that would help the committee determine eligibility for special education. It's extremely comprehensive and one that we engage in with great responsibility. Our committee is typically chaired by our grade level school psychologist or our K-12 school psychologist or myself. And together the committee determines whether or not the student has, in fact, an educational disability. There are 13 classifications to be considered. Some range from learning disability to maybe a speech and language disability, other health impairment. And if the child is indeed found eligible, then it's our charge as a committee to determine which services they require to best meet their needs. So I think it's important also to note that at times students are not found eligible for special education, but they still may qualify for a Section 504 accommodation plan. And Section 504, just to give a little background, is based on the Rehabilitation Act of 1974, One example, ramps were installed on buildings for equal access to individuals in wheelchairs. So how this plays out in a public school is providing equal access to programs for our students. So for example, children may have a medical diagnosis or an ADHD diagnosis or a diagnosis of possibly generalized anxiety disorder, and they don't necessarily require special education, but they rather require accommodations and modifications to support their learning needs. And what I like to say, level out the playing field alongside their non-disabled peers. So you can see from the data that CSE and 504's summaries are they fluctuate year to year, but overall they're pretty consistent. So at this time, I ask you to consider these recommendations that I have before you so our kiddos can start their services with their providers this year.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
You provide some great longitudinal data over time for the special
Yes.
ed, and I can't remember if you did for the 504
Yes.
numbers as well, but there's a big bump in the senior class. How does that compare to senior classes of prior years? We go from like a sixth of the class in junior year to a third of the class getting accommodations.
Yeah, so our 504 numbers are high, as you can see, especially in our high school. Our 6 to 12 learners, that's when we do start to see some of these diagnoses arise around adolescence, or see some of our students experience heightened anxiety, depression, things of that nature, and it impacts their learning. And I think it's common in high achieving school districts that parents also privately evaluate their children. And when that happens, the diagnosis is already determined. And so that may result in the student being eligible for a Section 504 plan. To talk about different cohorts of students, we do have certain cohorts that the numbers are higher than others. Is there a reason for that? Maybe not a specific reason. It could just be that particular cohort, the makeup of those kids is the makeup of those kids. But I think it's important to note that we meet all students where they're at, and we, Rachel and I always talk about that we deliver this really high level of academia and gen ed, and we also are so proud that we deliver it in special ed too, and for our students with 504 plans. But there is a little bit of an increase. I think in high school in particular, it went up like 3% from last year. Looking at particular cohorts, Susan, I would have to sort of look into that a little more. And we'd also have to consider, I always consider 12th grades, probably not that many, but new move-ins, right? We see that more in elementary school, that kind of, the number varies when there's new move-ins, students that move in with established plans. And then with our younger ones, I know I'm shifting a little bit, but how many students start kindergarten with established IEPs coming directly out of our preschools from CPSC. So there's a lot of varying factors. I find it quite fun to sort of look into it all and sort of roll my sleeves up, but it's definitely something that now we have the numbers in front of us, we're going to sort of dive a little deeper into over the next couple weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I think, again, just like the most important piece is that we can service all of these kids and we do it really well. And I think that's really important.
Thank you. Okay. Do you have anything else to add, Christina?
I don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have a motion to approve the CSE, CPSC student placement recommendations.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Rachel, I think we're on to policy.
So this evening is a second reading of a new policy that was put before you at the reorganization meeting in July for the first reading. This is a policy for maintaining appropriate boundaries between students and all school employees. We felt as a leadership team and as a board that it was important to dedicate this to writing. It is not a required policy by New York State, and yet it was important to us that we were being as clear as possible to all employees what our expectations are when it comes to appropriate boundaries. And it certainly is a way of protecting everybody, our staff and our students. I had an opportunity, even though only tonight is the second reading, to spend some time with all of our employees, kindergarten through 12th grade, at our second superintendent's conference day, the Friday before Labor Day, just last Friday. And it was an opportunity for me to review this policy with them as a draft policy at the time, and to kind of walk through with them not only its importance, but what it means day to day. And I have received some very thoughtful emails as a result of that time, and all understanding the importance of this, and then questions as they're reflecting on it. Well, how would I handle this? How would I handle that? Because I think the most significant difference in practice will be that we do not want any adult communicating with any student via text, via private personal cell phones. All communication should be through a district-sponsored platform. So that would be our email, and then for the high schoolers, the Google Chat. And so that will take some training, some time. It's actually very easy, but you just have to commit it to muscle memory, right? You instead of downloading WhatsApp or another app on your phone, it's the Google Chat app. And notifications will come up, and it's very easy for coaches to make groups. So again, we're spending time with coaches and advisors and all teachers just to make sure they know how to do it, and so they can adhere to it. And I made it very clear this isn't for the purpose of gotcha, but just so everyone can behave responsibly and have a method of communication.
Okay. Pete, I don't know if you want to add anything to that?
No, I think Dr. Kelly said it all. It's very timely and very pertinent. So great idea, great job by Dr. Kelly. I helped a little.
Yeah, policy change, great.
But, yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
I'd just add an observation that I'm glad we have a paragraph on exceptional circumstances.
Yes.
Because there will be times when it is appropriate to break the rules, and or there's a need to break the rules, but that it's just a call for transparency. So if you find yourself as in a situation like that, just let someone know.
Exactly. And that's why I really appreciated those follow-up emails from staff afterward, because they were clearly reflecting on it and thinking about their own practice and what needs to be changed. The other important piece to this, besides electronic communication, is it's the expectation that no adult will be on a student's social media, and vice versa. And we even give a suggestion as to what an adult can say to a student if they, are asked to be on their social media. So I think that those, are boundaries that needed to be defined.
All right. Any other questions?
Is it still policy, Pete? Can we still use
Yeah,
that?
it's
Yeah.
policy, Pete.
All right, yeah, it's another year.
It is policy, Pete. Yes. Okay. Can I get a motion to accept the boundaries policy as newly established?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. Okay. Really this is the beginning of the school year, but I give the opportunity to anybody. I was going to say Pete, but I think we already covered policy. Eddie, maybe. I don't know, on the facility side, you have any updates there?
Just wanted to reiterate the thank yous earlier mentioned to the PTA and the village for their support with the landscaping project and the foundation for their help with the landscaping for the outdoor classroom. Certainly couldn't have done it without them. I think it's pretty spectacular what they were able to accomplish. And I know that Dan and Mike are going to be working on crossing off some of the items that got done over the summer so we can put together a more finely tuned priorities list on what we're going to be focusing on for the next big project. And just a big thank you to Dan and Mike and the rest of the team for getting everything done over the summer. A lot of people think the building's empty and there's nothing going on here, but those guys are working hard, and we certainly couldn't have done it without them. And they're here overnight when it rains. We offer to send pizza and beer, but Dan says they're covered. So, yeah, big thanks to Mike Lee and his team. Those guys are great, and we really value them.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Foundation, PTA, anybody else? Okay. All right. Well, I think that concludes almost. I think we've got an action calendar. Next meeting is on the 19th this month. Seems pretty quick, but this meeting is actually taking place in August, in theory. So that is our next meeting, and we'll be right here. We're going to go to the public comment now, and if anyone wants to make a public comment, please remember to identify yourself. I don't know if there's anything first on the board. Anything here? No? Fantastic. Okay. Thank you very much. Get a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you. Oh, I know. I forget. I love this thing.
Yeah,
I know I should have started at the beginning. Bam.